See, that's it. It just sticks. It's not so much that it gets static, it just sticks to your hands. It's so thin, you know. But with a glove, and it's also dusted with talc a little, it gives you the ability to lay it out nicely and nothing sticks to you. It's a completely different story, you see? Well, if we take, say, not viscose but silk fiber, right? There's a similar fiber but made of silk. Yes, it's probably very expensive, it is expensive, but you can't even imagine how these silk strands are when you pick them up. When you lay out this space like this, it just opens everything up. You know, like a peacock's tail, because they're so fine, you know, and so they get saturated with air like that. It instantly just starts to float up in your hands like this. It's very inconvenient. So theoretically you could felt a silk dress. Well, theoretically, no, you can't, because fibers without wool don't felt together. In order for them to felt, you definitely need wool. Because you can only lay out delicate silk fiber as a beautiful decorative element or as a soft and luxurious filler for your artistic piece to make it even more incredibly soft, much more flexible, not so heavy, and certainly not so stiff, because wool by itself, it almost always turns out a bit stiff and rigid if it's without any additional fibers. So with this method you could say we kind of dilute it and give it this softness, so to speak. Not just softness in the sense that it's soft, although it is, but also flexibility and knit-like quality. That's why fibers alone without wool won't felt together. But you can use a lot and lots of fibers. For example, your piece could be made up of 60% fibers. With just a little bit of wool, your dress will end up being very flexible and flowing. No, look, you make the viscose roving a bit thicker, or, well, it's simple. Yes, it practically doesn't affect the thickness of the piece. Later, if you add more of it, it will drape and move even better on our dress. Really, actually look, it only seems to you that they're thicker, but if you look, they're really thin. Also, another important thing, when you lay out the viscose, you don't need to overlap it much, lay it almost edge to edge. Just a tiny bit, you know, just barely touching at the ends. Very, very small, because the thickness you get from overlapping will build up. You don't need that. See? You really only need about half a centimeter, just so they touch each other. And look, when I pull out a strand of viscose, see? It just stretches like this. It doesn't stretch very well. It's a bit tight. That's precisely why I consistently make this particular kind of motion. It genuinely sort of fluffs it up just a little bit, you know? Yes, absolutely. If the delicate viscose fabric was firmly pressed down, then with this particular method, I can effectively give it a bit of much needed volume, and consequently, it comes out much more easily and smoothly. So that's exactly how I laid it out. Because if you were to just do it like this, you would have to pull a bit harder and put in significantly more effort. But in this particular way, it comes out almost by itself, very easily and effortlessly, and for all these compelling reasons, this specific layout is considerably faster. I mean, if we are talking about a single layer viscose material, which is known for its particular properties and ease of handling, then of course you can observe just how incredibly quickly the entire process unfolds. It truly takes a remarkably short amount of time, perhaps around 10 minutes, to complete the task at hand here. You know what? I've just realized something, and I'll definitely need to approach this situation differently now. I will proceed to change my current physical position, adjusting myself in such a way that it becomes significantly more comfortable and conducive for me to continue working or performing whatever action is required, ensuring a much better and more relaxed experience overall. Always try to work in a way that's very comfortable for your hands, always. Of course I can do it this way, struggling awkwardly, but then my tufts will stick out beyond the edge of the piece. Or I can change my position so it's comfortable for me. Lay these tufts down from the edge of the piece with the thick end and finish our item. Now I'll move to this part, stand here and start working from the bottom. And here now I start filling in the main fabric, not from top to bottom, but from bottom to top. It absolutely doesn't matter, right? In this situation, it really doesn't matter at all. The main thing for us is just to cover the entire piece with viscose. And the direction in which we lay it out doesn't affect the shrinkage of our piece or the quality of our fabric in any way. Moreover, it will be on the wrong side. So just then, however is most comfortable for you, and then start the entire process, you know. There are a lot of young girls who lay out viscose in little fluffy clouds. And what exactly does that mean, these clouds? Well, they typically do it like this. You know, they carefully take it and then gently fluff it up. With those slicker brushes, they fluff it up very chaotically and just spread it all over the entire surface of the piece. Well, I don't know, everyone does it differently. You know, sometimes they also take several colors and card them together.
So it turns out like this.
By the way, I actually have a sample like that somewhere. I'll show it to you, and this is what you get. If we want, for example, to even decorate the front of the piece with fibers, we can take and combine several types of fibers, and then they will behave completely different. But we can only combine them using a carder or a slicker brush. It doesn't really matter which one you use. That way, the fibers get mixed together, and we can no longer lay them out on the piece in the same way. And then we do it in little clouds. Now I'll show you how it's done. See, I made this one. This is a mix of fibers. There's viscose, nettle or flax, bamboo and silk here. By the way, combining natural fibers like these silk fibers, for example, are even finer than viscose. Not all of them are like that. Some are so airy that when you lay them out, they just float above your dress. And look, we won't be able to lay this out in strands, right? So in that case, we have the option to lay out the viscose only in little clouds. We take it in our hands like this, fluff it up just like before, right? And we fill the whole space. And this is what we end up with. The cloud method. In little clumps like this, yes, like dead clouds or clumps.